Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda se Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhar ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Chapter 10, page 531. Anyonyam, 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 Asit, 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 Sanjalpa, 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 Uttama, Uttama.
Which one?
It's chapter 11, not chapter 10.
Chapter 11.
No. Why do you dictate? He's reading something. Why do you change it?
Text,
What is that?
Page 531, Srila Prabhupada. Text number 20 of chapter 10. Uttama, Uttama, Shloka, Shloka, Chetasam, Chetasam, Kauravendra, 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 Pura, Pura, Strinam, Strinam, Sarva, Sarva, Shruti, Shruti, Mano, Mano, Haraha, Haraha, Anyonyam As, Asit, Asit, Sanjalpa, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Uttama, Uttama, Shloka, Shloka, Chetasam, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Kauravendra, 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 Pura, Pura, Strinam, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Sarva, Sarva, Shruti, 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 Mano, Mano, Haraha, Haraha, Sarva Shruti, Mano, Haraha, Sarva Shruti, Mano, Haraha, Sarva Shruti, Mano, Haraha, Sarva Shruti, Mano, Haraha, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Sarva Shruti Manoharaha, Sarva Shruti Manoharaha, Sarva Shruti Manoharaha, Sarva Shruti Manoharaha, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Anyonyam Asit, Sanjalpa, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Uttama Shloka, Chetasam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Kauravendra, Pura, Strinam, Sarva Shruti Manoharaha, Sarva Shruti Manoharaha.
Others? Chanting and dancing in Banaras. So he criticized him. that what kind of sannyasi he is. He does not take to the studies of Vedanta. He simply indulges in chanting and dancing with some sentimental people. You must criticize. So one devotee of Lord Chaitanya informed him that you are being criticized, sir. We cannot tolerate it, neither we can reply. He is a great Vedanti. So better we shall give up our life. Then the meeting was arranged between the Vedantis. Actually, Vedanta, Veda means the knowledge. Vedi Veda Vida Jnana. The big dhatu, those who know Sanskrit, dhatu, verbal form. So, there are different forms of one root. It's like the real root is big dhatu. Now, it is sometimes spoken as Beti. Sometimes it is called Vida. Sometimes it is called Binte. Sometimes it is called Bindati, Bindate. There are different forms of the same root, Vidha. So, which form should be used? The grammarians, they know it. Sanskrit language is very difficult language. One has to learn the grammar portion of it only for 12 years. Then he becomes expert grammarian. And when one becomes nice grammarian, he can read any literature, department of knowledge, Ayurveda, Arudveda, Yajurveda, Jyotirveda, so many Vedas. So real Vedas means knowledge. I have already explained. I was in 1968 in London, in the Cornell Hall. That is published in Isho Upanishad. The Veda means knowledge. Bhakti Veda, Vida Jnana. Jnana means knowledge. So, Veda Anta. Anta means end. There is everything of our material life has got a beginning and an end. So here in this material world, every one of us, we come here ignorant, like animals, no knowledge. There are so many varieties of living entities. Gradually, by evolution, we come to the human form of life. When our consciousness is developed, we can understand higher knowledge, and that is called Veda. So Veda does not mean it is meant for the cats and dogs. Veda means knowledge. This knowledge is meant for the human Vedic. Therefore Indian civilization based on Vedic knowledge is estimated so high. Perfect. perfect scheme, system of human society based on Vedic civilization. Everything is correctly reasoned. The ideas are given by persons who are above material contamination. Mukta Purush. Mukta Purush means one is not affected by the material incompetence. There are material incompetencies. We commit mistake, we are illusion, our senses are imperfect, and sometimes not always, we want to cheat. These are the defects of material knowledge. And one who is above this material incompetency is called Mukta Purush. So, one has to become Mukta Purush. That is called Vedic knowledge. And that is called Vedanta. Vedanta Sutra. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So Vedanta means the ultimate platform of acquiring knowledge. Up to this. So that up to this is Krishna. That if you talk of Krishna consciousness, then you talk of all the Vedas, Sarvasuti Manohara. You talk of Vedic knowledge, but if you simply talk of Vedic knowledge, it becomes dry, speculative. But if you talk of Krishna and Krishna's Leela, Krishna's pastimes, then it becomes simultaneously discussion of Vedic knowledge, at the same time very beautiful. Therefore, Krishna is described here Uttama Sloka. Krishna is never described by ordinary verses. Uttama Sloka. Uttama Sloka means, Uttama means also liberated. Ut means transcendent. One who has crossed Udgata. Ut means one who has gone the other side. Tama means this dark. This world, this material world, just like it is dark. Therefore, the country or the part of the world which is always covered by darkness, already there is darkness. And if again that country does not get the facility of sunshine, it is considered that that country is condemned. It is Shastric ignorance. Any country which does not get the full facility of sunshine, it is to be considered condemned. I think I remarked this long ago when I first carried the television. They asked me in London, what is your conception of hell? And this is hell, London. My conception, practically. Always dark, moist, drizzling, no sunshine, cloudy, misty, Simple big building, that's all. So, there must be clear sunshine. So why this material world? Why this material world is called Tama? Because everyone is ignorant. He does not know what is the value of life. Everyone. In other words, all fools and rascals. Just like big scientists, they are theorizing that life is made out of matter. How much ignorance it is. All this Darwin theory, chemical evolution. Simply they are basing that from matter life has come. But where is the one gentleman in California University is Nobel Prize holder. He came to lecture. So our disciple Sarudamara, he is also doctor of chemistry. So and the professor explained that from such and such chemicals combination life starts. He said, if I give you the chemicals, can you make life? In that big assembly, he has to reply, that I cannot say. So, what is the use of such knowledge? You are taking Nobel Prize, holding Nobel Prize on the basis of certain theorizing knowledge, and when you are challenged, now you produce with these chemicals, you say that I cannot say. So this is right. Anyway, human life is meant for knowledge. That's fact. Therefore, athātha brahma jigyāsa. And what knowledge? Knowledge does not mean how to eat, how to sleep, how to have sex life, and how to defend. That is not knowledge. These things are there in the animals. The animals also know very well how to eat, how to sleep, how to have sex life, and how to defend. No, that is not. The human life is meant for different business, and that is Brahma Jigyasa. So Brahma Jigyasa, if one begins the life of Brahma Jigyasa, Brahma Jnana, and when it ends in understanding Krishna, that is perfection of life. That is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyati. The one is actually jnanavan, in knowledge. Such person, not so-called. There are two classes of men. One class of men is called Jnanavan, and another class of men is called Maya Apurita Jnana. All these words you will find in the Bhagavad Gita. This is not my method. So Maya Apurita Jnana means he is rascal number one, but he is thinking that he is vastly learned. He has advanced his knowledge so much. Simply, he is
puffed up falsely. That is called Maya Apurita Jnana. Jnanaval means one who has actually knowledge. So what is the difference between the two? One who has got actually the knowledge and one who is simply falsely puffed up that he has got knowledge. What is how he finds difference? That here is a man who has got real knowledge, and here is a man, rascal, but he is very much puffed up. So, it is very easy to find out, at least for us. That is a fact. This is our criterion. Just like you can find out the currency note, which one is genuine and which one is not genuine. There are some signs. This is an example. Similarly, our criterion is from the Bhagavad Gita, from Shastra, that we find these two verses in the Bhagavad Gita. What is this? The one thing is, Namang Duskitanam Mudha Prapadante Naradama Maya Apurita Jnana Asuri Bhava. The Rakhas Asuri Bhava Masita. Asuri Bhava Masita means one who does not accept the supremacy of God. What is God? I am God. I am God. These rascals are called Maya Apurita Jnana. Namang Prapadante. They do not surrender to God or Krishna. They pose themselves as God. As soon as you find anyone does not surrender to Krishna, does not understand Krishna, he is just anyone, it doesn't matter. That is the first test. Then you come to the details. As soon as you find somebody that he does not understand what is God, his relationship with God, and what is the ultimate object of life, he is a rascal. And as soon as you find somebody that he has surrendered to Krishna, Bhaunam Janmanamante Jnanaman Manga Prapadate. How he has surrendered? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva Krishna is everything. Actually he is everything. This whole world is combination of two energies. Material energy and spiritual energy. And Krishna is the source of two energies. Therefore, ultimate Krishna is the cause of all karma. This is the summary study. Sarva karana karanam Ishara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva karana karana. So, if we got, just like we are presenting so many books about Krishna, simply we are trying to explain Krishna. All these translations, there's nothing but Krishna. How to understand Krishna? So, here it is called Sarvasuti Mano. Krishna is very pleasing to hear. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. When we get our attachment for hearing about Krishna, then at least we can consider that we have become free from material content. When we get attachment simply for hearing Krishna, nothing else, all nonsense, then you should understand that you have become liberated. These are the tests. Everyone can get this position because there is process. If you follow the process, then you come to the real stage. So, Adu Sadhya, Tato Sadhu Sangha. The beginning of this process is Siddha. Just like you have come here with a conception of faith that here is Krishna consciousness movement. Let us hear something about this movement. This is Sadhya, Adu Sadhya. This is the beginning. Unless one has faith or attachment, not attachment, faith only. Sadhu Sadhya, then you mix with the devotee. We are opening so many branches just to give opportunity to the people to mix with us, come with us. Radha Krishna Valo Sangha Chalo. Ei matra vikasa. We don't want anything from anyone. We don't want any political independence, social information, or humanitarian benefit. Nothing. We simply request people, please chant Hare Krishna and come. That's all. We don't expect anything from anybody else. This is our mission. Radha Krishna Vala Sangha. You chant also, we are chanting on the street, Hare Krishna, you also join with us. Radha Krishna Vala. And so long we go, you come with us. Ei matra vikhacha. We don't want anything. This is not a business that we have come on the street to chant and to make some business. No. It is for your benefit. So, Krishna consciousness movement is very important movement at the present moment. Not only at the present moment, but all the time, past, present and future. But at the present moment, the members of the international society, they are taking it very seriously to propagate this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, and we are getting very good result. At least to our level, we are getting good result all over the world. There is no question of discouragement. So go on. This is our therefore uttama shloka chetasa. The heart must be always filled up with Krishna consciousness. That is called uttama shloka chetasa. So in this way, God, in Krishna consciousness movement, everyone will be happy. Thank you.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol Prabhupada.
So I'll read the verse and the translation because it can give a good backdrop on what Prabhupada spoke about in this particular lecture. Anyonyam asit sanjalpa uttama shloka chetasam kauravendra purastrinam sarva shruti manoharaha. The translation. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. So we are at that stage in the Srimad Bhagavatam when Lord Krishna is preparing to move to Dwaraka. And we can see that everyone is very, is really absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord. So Prabhupada says here, and he refers to the Shruti mantra. So the Shruti mantra is essentially any song that could be sings the praise of the Lord. And what he says is that the ladies who are on the roofs of the Hastina or the house of Hastinapur, they are so absorbed and they're talking about him, about Krishna, and he is, and it's much better than even the learned Brahmins' benedictions, because the ladies are not really well versed in the Vedas, and yet. And yet, because of the Shruti mantra, they are more pleasing, and for this, Prabhupada says that because the Shruti mantra is even more pleasing to hear than even the Vedic mantras, and that's because of the subject matter. So he uses this word subject matter, and the subject matter is all about Krishna. And he also mentions that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he referred to the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, he said that they are as beneficial or as powerful as the Vedic mantras. So that's really the backdrop. And moving on to what Prabhupada said today, I'm just going to share a few thoughts, and then we can have some reflections. So he begins this particular lecture with talking a lot about what is Veda, and he also mentioned that for us to truly understand Vedas, we need to spend at least 12 years. And how many of us will be able to spend 12 years learning the grammar? So it's quite a difficult process, isn't it? So for us to truly understand the Vedas. So what does the Bhagavad Gita tell about understanding the Vedas? So the ultimate goal of the Vedas, or the study of the Vedas, is to understand and to love Krishna. And if any knowledge does not give you that opportunity to love Krishna, then that's just darkness. It's ignorance. Then Prabhupada also uses a term Mukta Purusha. So he says that the Vedas are understood by Mukta Purusha. And Mukta Purusha are those who are completely free from material incompetencies. And he speaks about 4 incompetencies that, which is basically the propensity of all human beings. Do we know what they are? Imperfect senses, illusion, cheating propensity, yes, and propensity to commit mistakes. So Mukta Purusha is someone, they understand the Vedas and they don't have any of these material incompetencies. And then in this particular verse, Krishna is referred to as the Uttama Shloka. So Uttama is, Prabhupada defines as that Ut is transcendental, so it's above, and Tama is ignorance. So this world is full of ignorance, and Krishna's name, and which is so Krishna is referred to as the Uttama Shloka, which means he's transcendental to all the knowledge. But let's really understand a little bit about what that really the knowledge is. And in his signature humor, Prabhupada speaks about the knowledge that we think we have and the ones that we get the Nobel Prize for. So, and he makes his references to, like a professor who's got the Nobel Prize, and he was asked, okay, I'll give you all the chemicals, and please make life. And then what's the answer that he gets? I can't do that, yeah. So Clay goes on to say that all the knowledge that we're acquiring, if it does not make us understand and love Krishna, then there is really no purpose on that. And what it does is it actually makes you very puffed up. And the key part of knowledge is not about being puffed up, being very arrogant to say that, okay, I've got all this knowledge, and I'm going to use it. Everyone is recognizing me. I'm getting the Nobel Prize. But all that doesn't serve any purpose at all. So Prabhupada speaks about two categories of human beings, and one is Mayaya Apahrita Jnana. And these are really people who are very puffed up. So they could be scientists, they could be philosophers, but they're very, very arrogant because of the knowledge that they have. And that's really, and that doesn't really keep Krishna in the center. So it's this is one class of people who think they are knowledgeable, but they're not. And then there is Jnanavan. Jnanavan are those who understand Krishna, and that's really what we aspire to be. So, and Prabhupada, he gives a test. In fact, he uses two slokas from the Bhagavad Gita to say, how can we really know who is knowledgeable and who is not? So, do we know what were the two verses, and what did Prabhupada say? Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. So it's chapter 7 and chapter 7 verse 15, and then it's 19. So the first one is a negative test, and the first is a positive test. So the negative test is anyone who does not accept the supremacy of the Lord is, cannot be considered to be a learned man. Cannot be considered to be a learned person. And then the other one, which is in chapter 7, verse 19, is Vasudeva Sarva Itihi. So anyone who recognizes that Krishna is the cause of all causes, and he truly is a learned person. So that's what Prabhupada says. And then towards the end, he also wraps up, talking about how in Krishna consciousness, we do have a process. So we don't have to learn Sanskrit for 12 years or even more, and try to become Vedic scholars, because given the lives that we lead, that's not really possible. We don't even have any good teachers who can tell us about the Vedas. But it's all about chanting and being happy. So let's keep saying Radha Krishna Bol, and then let's do it together. And that's how we can really acquire the knowledge that we seek. And when we do that, we become more blissful, we become more joyful. So that's what Prabhupada really says here. So any reflections, and did anything stand out for you? Did anything...
Thank you, Boo. Something that stood out for me is to mention about the Mukta Purusha, and I'm just trying to see how can we understand that in terms of we consider, Srila Prabhupada a Mukta Purusha, but we see that he wears glasses and things like this. So how did you understand that in terms of his physical, external physicality and things?
That's quite a good question. So how important is physicality in determining whether somebody is knowledgeable or not? That's a very interesting question that Prabhuji has asked.
Sorry, just to expand that, I mean in terms of it appears that it's in perfect senses.
Okay. So the first step is for us to really think, remember that our senses are infallible. So a key part of the human condition is to really know who we are. And Prabhupada does make a mention about, like animals and human beings. So what is really the purpose of human life? The purpose of human life is acquiring Brahma Jignasa, which is acquiring of knowledge, which is not the same as just eating, like defending. So those are things which even animals can do. So what really helps us to be at a higher level of consciousness. So that's where, this entire aspect of Brahma Jignasa really comes in. So within that, yes, we do have, we do have like senses which, which we can't really depend on. The first step is to realize that, we can't always depend on our senses. For example, when you walk on the streets at night and you see, the moonlight, casting shadows, and it almost feels as if, you have somebody who's chasing you, although nobody's really chasing you. So clearly your senses may see things, but it may make you feel a lot more anxious and fearful. So once we recognize what they are, and it's important to surrender yourself completely to Krishna. And that's what is the test that's also in chapter 7, verse, I think it's 15, where Prabhupada says is that if you do not surrender yourself to the Lord, then you'll not be able to make best use of your senses. So coming to your point, how do we acquire knowledge even when we have infallible, even when our senses are not perfect? It's really about surrendering yourself. And once you surrender yourself, when you seek His mercy, then He will give you the knowledge. Because that's what Krishna also says. Even in the Bhagavad Gita it says that, I give you the intelligence with which you can know me. Does that help? Hare Krishna. I think Prabhuji had something.
Yeah, just a question about in terms of like a Mukta Purush, someone who's free from material contamination. I wonder how can we determine that if we have to say the criteria is that you have these 4 propensities that you're free from, but then we see like a Mukta Purush that appears to have imperfect senses in that sense.
Yeah. So a good, so if you were to look at Krishna consciousness and some of the things that we do, which is the 4 regulative principles. So when we follow the 4 regulative principles, when we perform devotional service, when we do chanting in, together, so all those are really helping you to remove the impurities. So it decreases the propensity that we have been born with. So when we chant and when we take Krishna's mercy, then then we are trying to reduce those propensities that we have of the human condition. So what is the purpose of the human condition? We really want to go a bit, we want to go higher than where we are. We want to use our life to develop a higher level of consciousness. And we can do that through the various activities that we do through Krishna consciousness. So whether it's chanting, whether it's singing the praises of Lord, reading the Bhagavatam, following the regulative principles, all of them together really helps you to become the Mukta Purush. Many of us are, we may not be able to even become a Mukta Purush in our lifetimes, but at least we are taking steps towards getting there.
Just to clarify what I'm trying to understand, that in terms of not ourselves, but if we're trying to distinguish someone who is actually Mukta Purush, I wonder how would we do that if they externally appear to have these external conditioning.
So Prabhupada is a good example. Would you like to share, Prabhuji?
Someone asked Prabhupada a question, does the spiritual master know everything? And Prabhupada said the spiritual master only knows what Krishna allows him to know. So Mukta Purush is someone who's always in touch with Krishna. He doesn't get affected by Maya. That's the main thing with the Mukta Purush. Even if he may have more body deformation or whatever, but the fact that he's in touch with Krishna, he's pure. He's like Mother Ganges. Sometimes in rainy season it gets dirty, but you just clean the dirt out and people bathe in it.
That's a very good. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And also, when you look at the physical aspects, we do realize that we are all spiritual souls. So we are all eternal. So think of like what you're wearing today in terms of even if it's a slightly deformed body, it is still a garment that you wear in this particular lifetime, and then you shed it away because they are temporary. The bodies are temporary, but what really is remove the conception of like a body, and then think of the spiritual soul which is within you. That's eternal and that's beautiful. And when that's connected to Krishna, then you'll be able to see through whatever is the physical aspects.
I just wanted to make one comment as well. In the Science of Self-Realization, Mr. O'Grady's asking Srila Prabhupada, it's very, very difficult to find a pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada's answer was, not so difficult. If you pray sincerely, Krishna within your heart will reveal such a person to you. That's one thing. Srila Gogorina Maharaj is quoting that also at the stage above there's 8 symptoms of a person that's very advanced that you can see. But he said that trying to examine with your intellect and mind, you'll get cheated. And so Bhaktisiddhanta says that we have to pray fervently and cry from the core, and Gogorina Maharaj said, cry from the core of your heart to Krishna, and he will reveal such a person to you. So those are 2 things that I had like that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think for some of us who are aspiring to to have a spiritual master, or who already have one, think of your experiences with your spiritual master and how they can embody the spirit of Mukta Purush, because they are bona fide masters from the Sampradaya. So clearly, when you speak to them, when you experience, when you listen to them, you can also, get the feeling that they are Mukta Purush as compared to some of the others that you meet.
Thank you, Boo. I think that they're, I think the Mukta Purush, that they're, in terms of these 4 defects, that what they speak is not influenced by any of these, that they speak from Krishna in that sense. Yeah.
Very true. And as Prabhuji mentioned, you need to have Krishna's mercy to be able to really, know who's a Mukta Purusha. And when you meet someone, you will know that you have met. Nobody has to tell you. Any other reflections? Any comments?
Prabhupada's description of the Maha Mantra, he says we are all under the grip of the stringent laws of nature. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the powerful master, this is called illusion. In the polluted, and then it says we become, when we exploit the nature, we become entangled. Therefore, we should be, although we are engaged in a struggle with nature, we are ever dependent on her. This illusory struggle is against the laws of nature, can be stopped once we revive our Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition of the mind. The consciousness is the original entity of a living entity. When we hear the transcendental sound vibration, this consciousness, I remember hearing this. Our original consciousness is revived and is a process recommended for the age. By practice and experience, one can perceive the chanting of the Maha Mantra or the great chanting of deliverance. One at once can feel the transcendental ecstasy coming through the spiritual stratum. He says then one actually has, we don't have to understand. Understanding, it surpasses all the senses, the mind and the intelligence, and is situated on the transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare
is directly enacted on the spiritual platform, and thus the sound vibration surpasses all stratas of consciousness, namely sensual, mental and intellectual. So it's just to hear the Maha Mantra, is, as we know on the Harinam, them just hearing that Maha Mantra, it revives their original consciousness, as it did for me when I first heard the Hare Krishna record. I knew it had something, but I didn't know what it was until I read Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much. And I think a nice way to wrap up today is for all of us to just sing the Maha Mantra once. So if I can invite you to just close your eyes and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you all so much for joining today. So have a wonderful rest of the day, and wishing you a blissful evening, day ahead.
Haribol. Jai.